Okay, Brett, you're good to go.
Great. Thanks, Maddie. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today. I'm Brett Cloyd. I'm the Public Policy and Social Sciences Librarian at the University of Iowa Libraries. I'm also the liaison to our IVETS program on campus. And we're really pleased to have our speakers today to help us connect with veteran and military connected community here at the University of Iowa. Um, so we've got two visitors. Tara Lamb serves as the Director of Academic Resources in Iowa Veterans Education, Transition, and Support, also known as IVETS. Tara joined IVETS in July 2022 and has been at Iowa over the last 20 years working in admissions, academic advising, distance and online education, and student services. And Matthew Miller is a retired Army Command Sergeant Major with over 21 years of military service. His military honors include Legion of Merit, two Bronze Stars, Meritorious Service Medal, Combat Infantryman Badge, and the Order of St. Maurice. He earned both his Bachelor of Arts in Public Relations and Master of Arts in Health Promotion from the University of Northern Iowa. Matthew's been at the university since April 2017 and is currently the Director of Student Support with Iowa Veteran Education Transition and Support and an adjunct professor in University College. He's also the faculty staff advisor of the University of Iowa Veterans Association. Tara and Matt have some presentation slides to share with us, and we'll have some time for question and answer as we go along. So please join me in welcoming Matt and Tara to the libraries.
Great. Thank you, Brett. We appreciate you asking us to come today. Can everybody see my screen? That should be a PowerPoint. Everything look good? Fantastic. So again, thank you for having us. My name is Tara Lamb, and Matt and I are here, and we're excited to highlight a couple things for you all today. We're going to go over IVETS and our office on campus, how we support our veteran and military connected students. We're also going to highlight who our veteran and military connected students are who attend Iowa and what that demographic looks like. And then we will go into some more information just about the military in general and how you can all better serve our students here on campus who are veteran and military connected. So IVETS, fun acronym that stands for Iowa Veteran Education, Transition, and Support. We are the centralized office here on campus that serves our veteran and military connected students. Anybody who has served is part of our community, obviously, as a veteran. Anybody who is a dependent or spouse of a veteran is part of our community. All of our current service members are part of the population we serve, as well as our ROTC cadets. We have both Army and Air Force here on the University of Iowa campus. If at any time you have any questions, please, as Maddie mentioned, put in the chat. I talk a lot, so feel free to interrupt me at any time. All right, so here is our staff. We have a small but mighty team. We have IVET Student Services, that would be Matt and myself, as well as Chuck Zander, who is an embedded mental health counselor who joined our team back in fall of 2023. We're the student service side of the house. We try to take care of our students, emotional, mental, academic needs, try to make community for them, and support them in any ways we can academically. We also have a strong but mighty team over in IVETS Financial that would include Tammy Bruns and Benjamin Zott. These are our two school certifying officials. What that means is these staff members are charged with helping our students get connected to the benefits that they've earned through their service. And they work very closely with the VA. They help with processing all of our GI bills, make sure our service members and veterans and dependents are getting their tuition paid, getting their payments for their basic housing allowance every month, and hopefully, taking that equation out of the stress of going to school by mediating between the students and their benefits. We are very lucky to all coexist on the second floor of Calvin Hall. We recently were very lucky to have our space mostly completely renovated for our students. As you can see, we were able to have our student lounge get a facelift. We now have a kitchenette space for our students. We have really nice furniture that are not hand-me-downs from president's offices from years past. We have an academic hub as well. So this space really serves for our students a place for them to stop on campus and hang out, whether it is getting free ice cream and coffee and popcorn in our student lounge or taking advantage of the free black and white printing. We do have a computer lab as well. So we really see ourselves as a one-stop shop for success for our students, veterans on campus here, and hopefully whatever needs they might have, we can meet those needs. Outside of comfy space, popcorn, and ice cream, we also provide a lot of resources for our students. I already mentioned the support they receive with financial assistance with Tammy and Ben, but we also again mentioned have Chuck Zander here. And this is really big deal. Chuck is an Army veteran. He has over 20 plus years as a mental health counselor, experience under his belt. And having somebody here who can connect with our students is really important and understand their experience. A big part of what we do here in IBETS is create community. We want our students who maybe had a different experience than their peers feel like they have a space they can come. They can meet other individuals who've had similar experiences. They can, you know, connect as transfer students, maybe older transfer students, and feel like they have a place just to belong. A lot of our students are commuters or they have family members. I'm sorry, they have families they take care of as well. So it's not uncommon for them to be on campus from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Our space is open till 10 p.m. for those students, and it does provide them a place just to come, drop off their lunches, hang out throughout the day, and have a pit stop to go between classes when they don't live in a residence hall that's right next to their academic building. We have the Veteran Association at Iowa. That's a student organization. Matt and I advise for these students, and it's a great group of individuals who are both current service members and veterans. Some are involved in ROTC as well. They organize events from homecoming to the fundraiser, and they also organize events where they just get together and hang out, whether it be apple picking or going and throwing axes, um, just lots of fun things. Part of what we really pride ourselves is being a one-stop shop for students, but especially that first semester when they land on campus, they might not know where quite to go or what to do. We offer a variety of orientation sessions throughout the summer. Um, we are always fielding questions and emails from prospective students and students who are admitted about what next steps are, how they can make sure they got all their military credit transferred over to Iowa. Um, we provide peer mentoring. And I think one resource we offer that's been very successful is our strategies for veteran success. This is a course where we bring in our veteran and current service members who are new to the university. Many of them, again, have previous credit either through joint service transcript or Community College of the Air Force. They're starting their journey maybe a little later in life, either by age or by transfer credit. So getting them familiar with all the resources on campus, we bring in research, we bring in the libraries. Brett is presenting here in a couple of weeks. Uh, just making sure that they know all the resources that exist here at the University of Iowa. I've talked a lot. Any questions? Are we good? Academic support. This is something we are really proud of. We have some great partners across campus where we are able to offer what we call academic platoons. We have partnerships with Dr. Scott Daly, who's in the chemistry department, faculty there, Dr. Colleen Mitchell, who's faculty in the math department, and we have a PhD student in neuroscience. And these three individuals have stepped forward and they've wanted to help our students. They volunteered their time. Dr. Daly is a veteran himself. Dr. Mitchell is married to a Marine Corps veteran. And Angela Richardson, our PhD student, her parents really help have always worked in the VA system, worked at universities, doing similar work that Matt and I do. So everybody has a passion for this population. And we're always looking to increase our partnerships. And any way that we can do that, it's always welcomed as well. We help with employment opportunities through our connections with the Career Center. We have networking events. We just brought in employers last week from veteran-friendly companies to meet with our students for a veteran morning meetup before the career fair that happened last Thursday. And we have lots of networking opportunities for our students to take advantage of. We do have quite a few policies that we also help kind of oversee here at the University of Iowa about military leave for our current service members and for our active duty service members. So if you are a faculty member and you ever encounter a situation with student needing to miss class for any type of military obligation, we do have policies that are in place and in the operations manual. They're on our website, but also feel free to reach out to Matt or myself, and we'd be happy to walk you through those. And we also do fun stuff. We do event planning, right? I mean, we're in student services, so you always have to bring in food for welcome week, finals week, homecoming, helping the students with homecoming and fundraising. And we always do a graduation celebration at the end of the year. So that's kind of the top of what we do and all the way down to kind of the nitty gritty. But ultimately, our office here is to help serve our students. So, um, how do you define a veteran? We typically do these in person, so it's something that we ask our audience. Does anybody want to be brave and just say, how would you define a veteran specifically? You can raise your hand, you can put it in the chat. You can choose not to respond at all, and I'll keep moving forward. All right, we're moving forward then. How do you define a veteran? Well, a lot of people think it has to be somebody who has served. And in reality, the demographic question that we ask to kind of get our population is, are you a U.S. veteran? So you've previously served, no longer serving, or are you currently serving in the U.S. military, active duty, reserves, National Guard? The other question that we ask is, are you a child or spouse of domestic partner of a U.S. veteran or currently serving U.S. military member? That really encompasses the students that we try to support and serve on top of our ROTC cadets. Okay, so I'm going to be requiring people to throw in some guesses. How many veteran and military connected students are there currently enrolled at Iowa? I can't see the chat, so if anybody's putting things in the chat, I might need Maddie or Matt to.
So I guessed 500, which now I'm thinking is low because Brett said 2,500.
Well, Brett's
Um,
kind of cheating because he's been in our space and he's seen
Take
our.
it, Brett. And then we had a 400, a 1,000, a 1,000. Those are kind of the guesses.
Well, thank you everybody for participating. Um, we'll kind of break this down in two different ways. In terms of our true veterans and current service members, about 560. When you bring in all the students that we support, it's over 2,270 students. Now, this is not a perfect science. This relies on a couple things. People identifying themselves when they apply. Um, we pull data from GI Bill usage, but there are students who've already used their GI Bill and they are no longer able to utilize that. So these numbers are our best guess based on the data that we have. We do have all 12 of our colleges represented within our student population. So we do have a very unique group of individuals. And I like data. I'm nerdy. I got access to our campus data dashboard, so I went a little crazy last Friday. So pulling the numbers for fall 2024, as this just came out with census about 2 weeks ago. So this would be the breakdown for our graduate and professional students. Obviously, the graduate college is the largest college. It has the most disciplines underneath it. Um, but Tippy has quite a few students enrolled. That's probably due a little bit with their professional part-time MBA program that's now online, which provides a lot of flexibility for students. Um, does anybody want to take a guess? Again, making you guys interact with me virtually here. Within the graduate college, what would be some of the disciplines that you think would have the highest enrollment of students? Graduate programs. And again, I can't see the chat because of my 5,000 screens. So, Maddie, you're going to jump in and help out with this one. Anybody making any guesses?
Yeah, we have a guess of history.
Okay.
I would guess like some sort of, well, I guess Tippy's business. So that sort of takes care of that. Yeah, another business guess.
All right. Drum roll, please. Business analytics is actually within the graduate college. did not know that until I pulled this data. So you guys were correct when it came to business. Um, does anybody see library and information science on that list? It's right down the middle. Yay, we have three. Um, but as you can see, we do have a wide variety of students that are enrolled in the graduate college here at the University of Iowa. Again, I'm nerdy, so let's keep going with the data breakdown. Undergraduate colleges, again, class, no surprise, largest college at the University of Iowa. Um, College of Business is up there, College of Engineering, but University College is actually on there too. And not many people are aware that University College does actually offer two online degree programs. And these are typically more interdisciplinary programs. So we do have a large number of veterans who are completing their degree while not here physically on campus. And my last question to make you all participate, what major within class do you think is top five?
We have a guess of psychology.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess history.
All right. Anybody
Let's
else?
let's see if anybody else, if people are typing chemistry,
All right.
another history guess, nursing. But I
All
think
right.
that would might be under College of Nursing. I
Yeah,
don't know if
college
that would
nursing.
be.
Yep. And so
Yeah.
that's we do have 10 students that's within that program right now. So there we go. Computer science is actually at the top of that list. Um, we do have a lot of individuals in psychology, criminology, exercise science. We do see a lot of health science students within our space. Um, and, some of these are tied to what the student may or may not have experienced as part of their military occupational specialty, their MOS, when they served. Um, and other, we have students who were in engineering and informatics when they were in the military, and now they're doing creative writing. So they don't always overlap, but sometimes they absolutely do. When we're talking about our students, you know, we can't always pigeonhole all populations, but there are some real truths that typically stand behind our veteran students. And that's the fact that they are older than the typical student most of the time. Um, Even if they're going just into basic and then their advanced individual training right out of high school, they're still delaying their start date at the University of Iowa by 6 months to 12 months. Put in those who did their active duty service right out of high school graduation. And we do have an older population that can at times make them feel a little, I would say, isolated. They've shared, whether that be in their class space, even shared spaces like the commons at the IMU or libraries. And I do think that's why they probably utilize our space a lot for studying and for hanging out. Um, and that breakdown isn't just for undergraduate students, even at the graduate level, there's quite a big jump, especially when you look at that professional. So the UI student profile, um, and it's fall 23 for this UI student profile because the census data is not out yet on the registrar's website, but I can't imagine it actually changes that much from year to year. But professional 25 versus our students, which is 35, and that's a pretty big jump. Um, you know, Here at the University of Iowa, being a female, is pretty common, about half of our population. But when you're in the military, you are a smaller population within the general, and we do have a higher first gen population than the UI student profile, which is fairly common. A lot of people, join the military for numerous reasons, but education is typically one of those top ones having an ability to pay. It's big. All right, and then the last little blurb of data for you all. It's just basically how are our students doing? And overall, our students are doing great. Like any population, a couple of them struggle, a couple of them far exceed. But ultimately, they're like any student in the sense that, typically they're going to be full-time students and their GPAs are going to fluctuate here and there. First year, like for all students, it can be a little tough. And then they typically tend to drag themselves out of it. So it's a great group of students. We feel infinitely happy and proud to be able to serve them every day. And now we're going to segue over to my colleague, Matthew Miller. He will be talking to you a little bit more about just the military culture, military service, and how you can better support our students. So thank you.
Thanks, Tara. And since Tara started the questions, I'll keep them rolling. Can anyone tell me how many branches there are in the U.S. military? A hint, it just changed not that long ago.
There's a guess of 5 in the chat.
Okay. Well, actually, there are 6 now because we have, Terry, want to change the slide that for me? 6. So the Space Force was added, I believe, in 2019. So now we have 6 branches, Army, Marine, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force. Coast Guard actually is a dual, it comes under 2 headquarters. It's Department of Defense as well as Homeland Security. And then the breakdown of the branches, technically the Marine Corps falls underneath the Navy, and the Air Force or Space Force falls underneath the Air Force. So 6 of them, all but Space Force, but it's coming. We'll have a reserve component. And both the Air Force and Army have a National Guard component, which is, for those that aren't familiar, the National Guard is a reserve status of the U.S. military where you're operationally controlled by the governor until federally activated. So they have a dual hat. They serve the states as well as the country. And so they also have a little bit more. National Guard now getting called up down for the floods in Tennessee and Georgia and North Carolina. So they have a dual hatted mission, not only national defense, but homeland support as well. Next slide, please. Like I said, there are active duty as all 6 branches in the reserve components broke down there as well on the slide. The Coast Guard does have a reserve as well. I don't believe we have any Coast Guard reserve units in the state of Iowa, but all the other branches have a reserve unit in the state of Iowa. And there also are Reserve Officer Training Program, the ROTC. Army is here on campus, Air Force is on campus, and we do not have a Navy Air Force ROTC. The closest one is at Iowa State. But the Marine Corps and the Space Force falls under their parent branch for training officers through the Reserve Officer Training Program. Next slide, please. What is life serving like in the military? Well, I'm just going to make some generalizations about military life. They can apply to some veterans, may not apply to all. But there some things we do deal with in being military service members is separation, whether it's leaving home for the first time for basic training and your advanced training, or deployments, or getting stationed across the country or across the world. So there's a separation of family and from loved ones. Some tours of duty are unaccompanied, so you cannot bring your spouse or your children with you. So currently, if you're in the Army and you get orders for Korea, you cannot bring your family. Whereas you got to.
Oh, Matt, your computer froze a little bit on you.
Not yet.
Oh, there you go.
There
Yep,
it
you're
is.
back.
It's back.
Yeah, I love my unstable internet connection. So often service members get stationed in a different part of the country, different part of the world. We are currently, the U.S. military is in about 115 different countries throughout the world. So there's a lot of different places where service members get stationed. Military life is difficult to adjust to the new climate and culture. If you come from, middle of Iowa and you end up in San Diego, California for your boot camp, it may be a drastic change of environment for you. So there's new things you're dealing with. You're adapting to a new culture. You're learning new ways. So there's a lot of change that goes on throughout that. Physical fitness is a big thing in the military. You are tested at least twice a year on your physical fitness. So that's a change for a lot of incoming service members. And we do lots of job training in the military. If you think of how I always envision it is if a small city needs it, the military needs it. So that includes mechanics, dentists, x-ray techs, plumbers, construction, everything that you can think of. The military has those jobs, and there's a lot of job training that we do all the time. And then especially when we're getting ready to deploy overseas, there's an enhanced requirements for training. So you may have less and less time, free time, and less time with your families as you're getting ready to deploy overseas. And like I talked about, those absences. We have students that are currently in the Guard.
Sorry, Matt. You froze again.
Is that better?
Yep, you're back.
Okay. So we have a lot of service members that get deployed throughout the academic year, and so they have to take that adjustment of transitioning back to military life from civilian life. So difficult change there. So next slide, please. Military jobs, like I talked about, there's everything you can imagine in the military. It's not just tankers and Navy SEALs that we see on, or special forces that we hear about. It's everything. Salvage divers, information tech, radio operators, dentists, human resources, chaplains, truck drivers, all the way through that. So a lot of different career fields, and a lot of our students take advantage of those, like Tara mentioned, those military skills, and then they come to the university, they enhance them. We have a couple engineering students that worked directly on the flight line on aircraft as aircraft maintainers. So they have that engineering background, and they apply that now towards their degrees here at the University of Iowa in their studies. So gives them a kind of an advantage to the rest of some of their classmates, and it gives them a specific advantage when they go into after graduation and they're looking for a job. Next slide. So what are the challenges that military service members face when they leave the military? Anyone care to guess on some of the big ones? Okay, next slide. So as they transition out of the military, you're kind of losing your identity. You've come to this routine of, you've been told what to wear, when to be somewhere, what time you're going to be done, everything you're going to do, to coming to especially a college campus where there's a lot of freedom. So our students miss their routine a lot of times, and so it's important for them to stay on a routine. So we encourage them to kind of make a hybrid model of what they did in the military, and apply some of the good things from that and to their academic studies and how they prepare for their studies here at the University of Iowa. It's often difficult to translate military skills and experience. So a job that makes sense to you as a military service member may not make any sense to your classmate that you're trying to explain to them. As we leave the service, we're moving somewhere different, maybe moving back home, but people have moved on, people have changed, the place has changed. So there's all kinds of changes in families, loss of family members. So a lot of things that we miss out on while we're serving, we have to readapt to when we come back home. And the stress of not having that military community as a background. So you have a support network always built in when you're an active duty service member. When you get back home, that connection may not be there. So we see a lot of veterans struggle with, where's their support network when they get out? And so that's one of the things we really focus on, that Tara mentioned, is building communities, so that we have this community where our students connect with people with similar backgrounds and similar experiences, where they have a support network and they start to build that. And that's also where our embedded counselor Chuck comes in really handy, because he can also help students through that process. And I think as the beginning of the semester, we see, looking at some of his numbers, what the common themes they've seen is this year is transition from military service to academic life on campus. So it's a difficult transition for a lot of students. It was for me. I went back to school 17 years after throughout my military service, and it was a difficult transition. I was the old guy in the class, and it took a little time for me to get adjusted to that. So we will really work hard on building that community and building that support network for our students. Next up. And some of our military students, like Tara mentioned, are older than their classmates. They may be more motivated than their classmates as well. They've had something that keeps them motivated. They've learned some skills along the way in their military service that may help them succeed academically. They may not connect with their fellow classmates. We see this all the time in our transition course. We ask, what challenges are you facing within the first couple of weeks? It's like, I'm the old person in the class and no one talks to me, or I get singled out because I'm the old person in the class. So having that connection is often difficult to establish for a lot of our students. And frankly, a lot of our students are sometimes reluctant to speak up in class just so they don't stand out. They just want to blend in. And when I'm talking to instructors, I always stress you don't necessarily pick on or call on that veteran because they have a unique perspective on things, but let them open up, let them become part of the class, naturally rather than singling them out. Next slide. Go ahead. So like I talked about the transition, you're losing your family, you may be older, you have many of our veterans of
Okay, Matt, you froze again. Hold on. Nope,
Is that better?
yes.
Okay. Remind me to put an ITS help ticket later. Many of our veterans have served in combat, but we're seeing less and less numbers over the years. Since 2017, I've dramatically seen.
Sorry, Matt, you froze again. I think you're back.
Okay. So transition to military life to campus life from military life can often be awfully difficult and okay. Next slide, please. Some of the strengths that we like to point out about our veteran military students, they bring a unique perspective. They've had this military training. They may have more life experience. They may have seen other parts of the world and got to experience different cultures. Project management skills are something that is really brought into the very early training stages as a military service member. So you learn how, even at the lowest level, to manage projects and successfully lead people. The military teaches a lot of our students leadership, motivation, how to deal with stress, how to be a diligent worker, and how to manage time. Next slide, please. Just a couple of quick reminders. Not every veteran, like I mentioned, was deployed. Not everyone's seen combat, and variety of experiences experienced in the military. And some veterans may not connect strongly with their service. For whatever reason, a lot of our students get to hear and they're like, well, that was one part of my life and I'm on to the next. And so they choose not to identify with that veteran status. And not everyone has a positive experience in the military, whether it be through a variety of different reasons. Next slide, please. Just some simple ways to start conversations. If you run into a veteran or military service member, you can ask them what branch they served or are serving in, what they did in the military, how long have they served, what's something that's memorable about their experience, what's their favorite moments about military service. I know for me, I got to deploy to Egypt and I got to see the pyramids, something I would never get to see. I never thought I'd get that opportunity. I've been deployed 4 times and we got to see all kinds of different parts of the world. So those are great experiences that I've had, but I've also had some that weren't so great throughout those deployments as well. And it's also great because a lot of us follow in the family tradition of military service. My grandfather served in World War II. My dad served in Vietnam, and then I served in both Iraqi freedom and enduring freedom. So we have that in my family. We have that military service tradition. And my stepson, who is a freshman here at Iowa, is just started ROTC, so he's kind of following that tradition as well. So makes me proud as a stepdad, and that he's carrying on that legacy for us. So next slide, please. Some things that faculty and staff should know. A lot of times there's this misconception that veterans have some type of disability. You know, it's not always a foregone conclusion that that's the case. But do include those student disability services when you have a student that reaches out or you think they might be in need. They can provide a valuable resource for our students. Provide them a way to help navigate the system. You know, this University of Iowa system is very difficult coming into for a lot of students. Help them show them the way through the process, because having another ally is never bad. And if we can help our students through this process, and especially through that transition process in the first year, all the better. If they need help, make appointments for them or show them how to do that. And as I mentioned before, try not to single veteran students out for discussions. This happens a lot of times in political science and history. Our students get called upon because the instructors know they have this experience, but just simply calling on them because they're a veteran may not be the best way to approach that. And remember that one veteran's opinion does not represent them all. Just like in society, perspectives and backgrounds and experiences in the military vary drastically. Just some other things, you know, I put it in the chat, but here's the link also for our UI policy on military service obligation. We do have a military activation policy, which is also listed on that link there. And then also, if students or veterans were deployed overseas and have it listed on their service record, they may satisfy the International Global Issues Gen Ed requirement for class students. And I think that carries over to a couple other colleges now as well. And this is where we open it up for questions.
So Matt and I normally tag team these presentations, and it was really weird about not having to interrupt you. So one thing that we didn't do when we started this, and if anybody feels comfortable sharing, would you raise your hand if you yourself are a veteran? Raise your hand if you have a child or a spouse who is a veteran or currently serving. Always curious to kind of know what the connection is with any of our audience members who come to this session. So thank you for sharing.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording real quick.